What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. In today's video, I'm going to be installing this Vevor diesel heater into a work vehicle for a friend of mine. The particular heater that we're installing today is a suitcase heater, meaning that the fuel tank and the heater itself are contained inside of this case. That makes it not only very easy to install, but also easy to remove, which is why Jason chose this particular unit. He's going to be taking it out during the summer. This should be quite a bit easier than the heater that I installed on my vehicle last year, as well as BJ's vehicle. So yeah, let's get into it. This is the vehicle that I'm going to be installing the heater on. It's going to be used in the back of the truck to keep the tools and the back area warm. So let's go take a look inside to see what we're working with. The heater is going to be installed along this front wall right here in this general area. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that yet, but part of how I decide to do it will be determined by, well, what I have to do it with and what is directly under this floor. We're going to have to run the exhaust out, and he wants to be able to take the heater out easily. He did also buy a Vevor nut cert kit, so I'll test that out. The fuel tank is already in the unit, so the only other thing will be a connector. There is a panel here where some wires come out, so the power wire is going to come out there to the heater, and I'll have a quick disconnect. Let's see what's under the truck. Alright. That's actually really good news. I can see a mounting bolt right here, and that means that the exhaust for the diesel heater will probably come out somewhere right around this area. I'm going to go inside right now and see where that bolt goes down through the floor, and we can use that as a reference point to figure out where we're going to drill the hole for the exhaust. So what we're going to do, we'll verify. I might actually take this out to be 100% sure, but it looks like we're very easily going to be able to put a hole here. Nice. I believe I'm probably going to be offsetting the heater to one side because that's going to make it easier to access the panel, and that's fairly important. Next up, I'm going to pull this panel off and see what's in here. Jason was fairly confident that there wasn't any key off power, and we want to be able to run the heater with the key off. So I'm probably just going to be running new fused power to in behind here, but let's see what's in there first. Switch 5 heater. Interesting. Did somebody think of this in advance? Switch 6 spare. Yes, awesome, freaking awesome. I have switched power to 5. As we step into the vehicle, up here there is quite conveniently some auxiliary power switches. And as you can see, I have 5 turned on and we have power to 5, which is supposed to be for the heater. So that is awesome. I'm going to put a fuse in there now, and we will have fused power all the way to the back. That's going to make this job so much easier. Perfect. Because this is coming in and out of the truck, because this is a work vehicle, and because we definitely don't want it failing, we're going to do a couple upgrades on the heater. First of all, I'm going to install an inline fuel filter for Jason so that he doesn't have any fuel issues. It's going to save the pump and also save some sort of blockage at the heater itself. I'm also going to put a strain relief in here. It comes with a grommet, which is perfectly fine if it's sitting on a shelf, but bouncing around in the back of a truck and being taken in and out, I want something a little more secure. So we're going to put a strain relief on here, and then the idea or the plan going forward is to actually put a connector on the end of here, and then in the plate I'm going to put a connector in there as well, so that this can simply plug right in, and then when he wants to take the heater out, he will simply unplug this from that plate and carry it away. You guys aren't going to be able to see anything here, so I'm not going to bother trying to film it, but I'm going to poke a hole down through the body so that I can have a place to attach a ground wire. Oh. Stop talking, Joel. Stop pretending that you're actually going to use your voice in this footage. Because you're definitely not. I've got a stainless steel bolt and a washer and a flange nut to go underneath. I'll pull my drill out. Again, this is not going to be very easy to film. I am going to grab some sandpaper and sand away here to make sure we have a good ground. The battery's about to go dead on my camera, so I'm not sure how much of this I'll film, but I've got some heat shrink on the wire to pretty it up and to keep it secure. And I've also got a piece on each to electrically insulate them. And now I am going to connect. Yeah, now I'm going to solder them up. Words are hard sometimes. Let's just drill out of the way. I'm kind of rushing a bit now to get a few things done before the light disappears, which is not smart. Rushing is never good. I'm going to try to calm myself down here and take my time as much as possible. Nice. That is beautiful. I'm happy with that. Making little bits like these is quite time consuming, but it is going to make the installation go a whole lot better, and it's going to mean that the heater can be taken in and out with fairly little effort while being secured in place quite well. The idea is these things are going to be spacers that sit behind the heater, and they're going to screw to the wall. It's going to stop the heater from flopping around at the top, which would cause the bolts or something to break at the bottom. And it's also going to allow for a connection point. I'm actually going to put one more hole down through each side, or one through here and one through here. And that's going to allow a place to put in the end of a bungee cord that can then go through the top handles of the heater itself. I think I've already said this at least once, but the next thing I need to do is figure out exactly where the exhaust hole is going to be drilled through the floor, because once that is drilled, that's where the exhaust needs to go, and that's going to determine exactly where the heater goes. So I need to make sure that the spacing is correct out from the wall, and then I'm going to need to do some very accurate measuring to make sure that the center of the exhaust hole actually lines up with the exhaust. I'm going to do a sanity check underneath the vehicle and make sure that it actually is an okay place to put a hole. 21 inches from this mounting bolt and 3.5 inches from this front wall, which is different than this front wall, so I'm going to have to take that into account. Let's go find where that bit came through. Can't ask for much better than that. The drill bit came out exactly where I wanted it to, right in front of this cross member and right behind this channel. It would have been a pain if it would have came out through this. Nice. I do realize that this is going to be pretty controversial and a lot of people are going to call me a lot of nasty things in the comments section. Go nuts, knock yourself out. This is the way I'm doing it. When you do yours, you can do it a different way. Now, the tricky part is going to be getting the exhaust to connect to this and to the heater. Drilling with this drill bit at this RPM is a bad idea, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's a real pain in the butt to change speeds on this lathe. So. F250, we're at 3/4, so 926. There you have it, folks. This is my tapered exhaust adapter. It very easily pulls off of the lower piece, but it is sealed quite well to that. And it also fits quite well, quite easily over the exhaust taper. You can kind of just feel for it and drop it into place. And as I say that, it's a bit of a struggle. There we go. All right, so that sits in place. Now all I need to do is mark the locations for the actual mounts and then put some rivnuts in. I used to own a rivnut set years ago. I purchased it from Princess Auto, used it a bunch, and basically wore the machine out. Jason purchased this to make it easier to install the heater, and I'm sure he's going to use it for many other things. I've not looked inside of it yet, so let's take a look inside here together. Oh, it's one of these ones. Cool. Okay. Right on. That's much nicer than the one I had. What are all these? All the different sizes. And it comes with some rivnuts. I think we're going to use 6 mil if there are 6. Actually, we'll use 1/4 inch because I think Jason will appreciate the 1/4 inch much more. There's 1/4-20s. Let's see if I can figure this out without reading any instructions. It seems pretty straightforward. You thread this piece off, and then this is probably, he said as he struggled to figure it out. Oh, that is pretty cool. Interesting. Okay, so now we need to find the 1/4-20 version of this. Like M8, yeah, okay, there we go. We've got the empty case. That was very thoughtful. 1/4-20 right here. That is very nice. This is a nice set. Put it back in so we can read the logo there, or the writing. Now, very simple. This just slides into here. And then this threaded collar holds everything in place. And then this guide bushing goes on after. Real nice, real easy. Let's try one of these rivnuts out. Make sure I have it threaded on all the way. Do this one first. Easy one. I don't know what this thing is. Maybe an adjuster? I don't know, let's thread it out. Cool. Alrighty. It always shocks me how you can measure and double check and make corrections, and then still when you go to put something in, it's just like, how is that not even close? Okay, well, they line up. That is good news. The Vevor rivnut kit actually worked fairly well. If I have one complaint, it's that there's not really any storage area for these things. They just kind of sit in here with the rivnut gun. I only did a total of 4 rivnuts, so it's not a thorough test by any means, but it worked very well. It would be nice if they had a separate compartment for storage for these, but I have to assume that, yeah, if you're in a garage, you're gonna probably have these in a separate place, and you're gonna have a bunch of different sizes, and probably more than whatever 6 or 4 of these. Anyway, I got some fresh diesel here. We're gonna pour it in. What? After the heater is installed, you need to manually pump oil. Okay, the fuel line of the heater is long. Before, refer to the LCD switch user guide. Yeah. Vevor, you need to do a better job with your manuals, because this manual does not match this machine. The manual isn't even close to correct. The basic install of the heater is done, but before I install it one last time and time to see how long it actually takes to install, I'm going to give the heater a once over to make sure that there's no loose wires or pinched fuel lines or anything like that, to try to ensure that Jason has the best chance of success with this thing while he's out working with it. So I did make one change off camera, and that is I decided to change the exhaust coupler. What happened, I tested it, and when it heat cycled, it actually fit too well. The taper was too accurate to the exhaust fitting, and it locked on there so hard that I basically had to pull it off with a pair of channel locks. So I've made a new piece and changed the taper slightly, and I'm hoping now that when it heat cycles, it won't grab onto the heater. It definitely is sealing well, there's no worries there. And so now I'm gonna go over this off camera, and then we're gonna time to see how long it takes to install, and I'll show you guys exactly how that's done. I've now checked out the heater and it is good to go, but before we do the final install, I'm gonna show you guys the way the truck sits without a heater in it. I did make a couple of changes, so let's go have a look at that now. As we step inside the truck, you guys can see I've got the bolts in the nutserts, and that is so that dirt doesn't get down in them. I think that's probably a good idea. We've got these things on the wall here. I don't know if they're terribly necessary, but I figured this truck's going to be used on a lot of bumpy dirt roads and whatnot, and so this will add a little bit of support to the top of the heater to stop it from wobbling back and forth. I've got a piece of uni strut here with a couple of holes in it to zip tie the wire in place once the wire is installed. The plug can only go in one way, so there's nothing to worry about there. I've put this block of Delrin in place so that stuff can't come ahead and damage these wires or the connector itself. We don't want the exhaust full of crud or a 10mm socket or anything like that. So I made this on the lathe. I've put an O-ring on it to, 1, stop it from popping out, and 2, stop it from jiggling around. I put a little bit of knurling on the edges so that it can be easily pulled out. That will sit on there, and it will stop stuff from getting not only in the hole but also in around the perimeter hole, and we don't want dirt in either of those things. Of course, if a little bit of debris gets in, you could just hit it with a shop vac and pull stuff out, but if you drop a 10mm socket or some screws down in there, it might be a little bit trickier to get that stuff out. So put this in place when you're not using the heater, or when the heater's not installed, and that'll avoid issues like that. It is finally time for the final installation. I'm probably going to do some cuts in editing, so I decided I would use a stopwatch to see how long this takes, just out of curiosity. I've got everything set up on the bench here. The truck is the way that it would be as you were using it without a heater, and so I'm going to start the timer right now, and we'll see how long this takes. Start. I've got everything that I think I'm going to need to do the final installation of the heater, and we are 1 minute and 30 seconds in. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove this plug, take these bolts out. All right, then we take our exhaust piece, slide it over there, line up the holes on one side while holding up the other side, and then guide the exhaust into place. It goes in pretty easily. It is now sitting in place. Start all of the bolts finger tight first, or not finger tight, we'll just start them in. Rather, there's a difference. All right, heater is secured in place. We are going to use the bungee just to simulate that. Wrap the bungee around here. And now all we need to do is connect the wire. I'm not going to change the camera angle here. I'm just going to put that in. Put the wire into the uni strut. Tighten the nut on the connector. And now a couple of zip ties, and we are done. I completely forgot the whole point of this test was to check the time. It took 4 minutes and 20 seconds as of now. So yeah, under 5 minutes to install the heater. All right, let's test this bad boy out. This truck, it has a metal box on the back of it, or a metal cap on the back of it, that is completely enclosed, and it seems as though it is acting as a Faraday cage. If I walk to the end of the alley from probably 60 feet, maybe closer to 80 feet away, I can hit the power button and the up and down heat buttons, and it works perfectly normal. But even from inside of the truck, I'm going to try it once more here, but even from inside of the truck, if I hit the power on button, which I'll do right now, I don't think the heater is receiving the signal because it is completely enclosed in an aluminum box. And as I say that, I think the heater actually is starting up. Let's see. Okay, it is. It's starting. There you have it, folks. This is the end of the video. The heater is completely installed and Jason has come and picked up his truck. Unfortunately, when I said this, I'm kind of rushing a bit now to get a few things done before the light disappears, which is not smart. Rushing is never good. I should have heeded my words much more carefully, because it turns out that before Jason even got to use the heater, the wires broke off the back of the connector. The issue being that the pins on the back of the connector were actually quite small. The wire going to it was quite large. What I should have done is taken the time to step the wire down to a smaller gauge for the last couple of inches, and it would have worked out a whole lot better. Fortunately, it is sorted out now. Hopefully no more troubles for Jason moving forward. Vevor has not sponsored this video in any way. Jason purchased both the heater and the nutsert kit with his own money. But if you guys are interested in that equipment, I will leave affiliate links in the description below. If you choose to buy them through that affiliate link, I get a small kickback, so that is greatly appreciated. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. You guys may have noticed that the end of this video seemed a little bit more rushed than the first, and the editing wasn't quite as good. There are a few different reasons for that. I got caught up in a few unexpected projects. I've been doing my day job, and then I've had to do some really annoying stuff like eat and sleep and, you know, kind of basically take care of myself. But what can you do? Anyway, the reason why I'm talking about this, one of the projects that I got into was replacing an engine on an insulation blower. The owner has decided not to replace the old engine, which is this Onan, I believe it's a 224G. It has a worn valve guide, and the rest of the engine appears to be in fairly good condition. The reason why he decided not to repair this engine is because he swapped a Honda onto it, which means he can simply take another Honda and drop it into place. It fits on the motor mounts, the exhaust will work out. Basically, the machine doesn't have to be down for an extended period of time, and it's fairly easy for anyone to swap another engine onto it. Where with this, it was a complete pain. He would either had to wait to have the engine rebuilt, which would take a considerable amount of time and money. And if he's swapping back and forth, it means welding on new motor mounts and just a whole lot of fuss. The reason why I'm bringing this up to you guys, and I inserted this clip in this video, is because I'm wondering if you guys would be interested in seeing me rebuild this engine. So I've been basically gifted this engine because it's not worth repairing for the previous owner. But for me, I don't, you know, it's going to be probably 5 days of labor to get this all cleaned up and back together. I don't have to pay myself the labor, but I'm only going to do that if you guys are interested in actually seeing that footage. So if you are, let me know down in the comment section and maybe we can make that happen.